I would like to be remembered as a village girl who refused to remain ordinary or succumb to her circumstances when it would have been easy to swim with the flow. A simple soul she may have been, but she worked hard and believed in herself. She achieved her dream of becoming a doctor, a heart specialist, and founded a state-of-the-art regional hospital. I would like to be remembered, too, as a mother who nurtured and encouraged her children to follow their hearts when it is so easy for a mother to pursue vicarious satisfaction through her offspring. They are a precious feather in my cap. I also pride myself for being a wife who reciprocated the support, care, love, and respect from my cherished husband and dear friend. I would like history to record that I was a child's heart doctor who saw many children with heart conditions from poor families and participated in helping them to get a new lease of life. An employer who contributed to our beloved and great country's economic growth by helping to build a hospital that created over 450 jobs. The current hospital should also be a center for training medical professionals and helping practitioners to whet their skills to their fullest potential. A girl who recognized that her country has the skilled manpower that only needed to be complemented with a modern equipped hospital. I must hasten to add that God guided me and had many a helping hand as well.
My name is Chris Otieno. I work as the Chief Finance Officer of AAR Hospital. It's the newest hospital in Nairobi today. Our story with Dr. Betty goes a long, long way. It's over 20 years, right? Because she knew me before I joined Karen Hospital. So I don't know exactly when, but the story goes, it's over 20 years generally. Yeah, I can describe Dr. Betty as a master class, right? And why I call her master class is because she is very knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. She reads a lot, yeah. So it helps her to acquire the knowledge, of course. So she will talk to you about matters finance. She'll talk to you about matters health, about matters marketing, about human resource, ICT, all these things. So one, I can describe her in summary as a masterclass. She's also very hardworking, right? She's very committed and very flexible. I remember she has a favorite quote that goes like this: "It's only a fool that does not change his or her mind." Yeah, so every time, if you find yourself having made one decision, it did not go, just change your mind. There's nothing that will go wrong. Just change your mind and keep going.
My name is Juliet Gikonyo. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Karen Hospital. Dr. Betty. I think Dr. Betty, I can describe her in three forms. I can describe her as my mother. I can describe her as the chairman of the board of Karen Hospital. And I think I can describe her also as one of the heroes of Kenya when it comes to the medical field.
I'm Dr. Gikonyo. I am a cardiologist in this current hospital since its foundation. To describe Dr. Betty, first of all, to start by thanking the elements of creation that created her and made us come together. Because I must say I've enjoyed my life extremely to the extent that I would have always imagined by having the privilege of being Dr. Betty's husband. Many of the things that we have done together, I would give her a lot of credit for it. Even the foundation of the current hospital, she takes a big credit.
I am, first and foremost, a Kenyan. I am a medical doctor by training, specialist in pediatric cardiology. I'm also an administrator, having been a chief executive officer of the current hospital and currently the chairman of the board. I'm also a mother of 3 grown-up, I would say adults, a grandmother of 8. I'm a wife. I am also a mentor. I've mentored very many people, both in the medical world as well as in non-medical, careers. And I can also say that I have been a public servant in the sense that I've worked outside the current hospital as a member of the University Council of Nairobi, as a member and chair of the Nairobi Health Management Board, and amongst others. I can also say, I'm happy to say that apart from that, I'm an author. I've authored a book, The Girl Who Dared to Dream. I like to say I'm a village girl. I was born in a village called Kiamavara in Nyeri County, in a small town, railway station, actually it was Karatina, and where there was a very big market that we used to go to. Born in Kiamavara, village, that's where I grew up as an ordinary village girl, doing what village girls do. And then I attended a primary school in the village called Kiamavara Primary School, where I was able to move on to high school. I grew up in a polygamous family. My father had 3 wives. My mother was the oldest of the 3, and we were all brought up together, as one family. I was lucky to finish primary school, class 7 from Kiamavara Primary School, and proceeded to the Alliance Girls High School, where I spent my 6 years, and that's where I really then grew up, as a young teenager, to I would say now ready to go to the university. And of course, that's where now my dream, that I had already, I had it from primary school from the time I was 7 years old. It's Alliance Girls High School, where it was really nurtured because I was able to do science, which would then allow me to get to the medical school, University of Nairobi. So from Alliance Girls High School, I proceeded to the University of Nairobi, where as being admitted to the medical school, we were 6 girls from the same class, and we formed a small community of our own. And it's at the University of Nairobi that I graduated, as a doctor, and went later now to practice, medicine as a general doctor. So my life, up to that point now is, I would say, was the formative years, that now form the very strong background for what I later now specialized in and practiced. Dreaming of being a doctor became a reality. Then it's easier to now talk about dreaming of the current hospital. And I thank God that the current hospital would never have been had I not dreamt about being a doctor. So the dream of the Karen Hospital is one that will, out of our going to study, cardiology at the University of Minnesota. I did my master's in pediatrics at the University of Nairobi, and it is from as I treated children that now I really got interested in specializing in managing children as a specialty. Going to Minnesota to study pediatric cardiology is another story for another day, but nevertheless, it was a great exposure to what there is out there in terms of advancement in medical practice, institutions, training, research, of which I participated in at the University of Minnesota, and successfully completed my training as a pediatric cardiologist. It's during that training where we were now as a family. I did not go alone. I was already married, and I was, I've had my entire career as a married woman, married with 3 children. It's during those cold winters in Minnesota. It's pretty cold. You spend a lot of time indoors. And my husband and I, discussing what shall we do when we went home. I think for us, we were very clear when we left Kenya that we are going to come back. We never wanted to settle. And indeed, when we finished, before we finished, we started thinking about about a hospital, not Karen Hospital. We just thought about a hospital as to where it was going to be. That's now, is in the evolution, of this, story. We thought that we'd come and set up a heart hospital because we are both, heart specialists. And so that is the genesis of the, of a hospital in Kenya that was later to be called the Karen Hospital. The Karen Hospital was opened in 2006 and in March, and that was a great moment. Amongst your friends and associates and networks, you also get people who believe in you. And we got a team of about 30 people who believed in us, and we started the hospital. So when we started the hospital, actually I was doing both clinical work as well as administration, because there was need for a pediatric cardiologist. How did I, manage, the 15 years, that I was the CEO of the Karen Hospital? My administrative journey did not start at Karen Hospital because we had been in private practice for 20 years before we opened Karen Hospital. I can't say it was easy. It was very, very difficult. And it actually required me to go back to school because there are so many things that I realized I just didn't know. I was never taught in medical school. I went back to school and I took an executive MBA. Why? Because I needed now to be well, armed, to be a good administrator. I can say by the time I was finished, I did 15 years. I would say I was experienced, and I was feeling, I was in my comfort zone, and I was happy, with what I was doing. But I was ready now to say, I've done enough. I can hand over. But I didn't just hand over. Juliet Nyaga, who is our current CEO, has been in the hospital since inception. So since we opened the hospital, she came in from having worked with the World Bank, in Washington, D.C. And when she came and saw what we were doing, she said, I would rather be home. So she came home and worked next in the office just next to mine. And therefore, I can say I've mentored her, over the years. And she was a good student. And I felt that she was ready to take over. And I was ready to go home, and do other things like I'm doing now.